One I wanted to focus on was the agents. So they have their Gemini-powered teammates, which is basically an agent. So some of the players outside right now are like Relevance AI, and I think there's a few other people doing agents. And so I don't know if you've ever built one, but it's like very, you program the workflow, you connect it to different tools, and then you sort of give it prompts, and they sort of chain together, and you can figure out how to make it do something. So I created an agent for creating blog posts. So it would go do research, compile it into a blog post, and then post it. Although like the quality was like, it was okay, not amazing. I think the cool part about this particular thing is the fact that it has its own Gmail account and has its own it's all connected to Google. So I just thought that was interesting. So I'll just show you the teammate thing.
We're prototyping a virtual Gemini-powered teammate.
Chip's been given a specific job role with a set of descriptions on how to be helpful for the team. You can see that here. And some of the jobs are to monitor and track projects. We've listed a few out, to organize information and provide context, and a few more things. Are we on track for launch? Chip gets to work not only searching through everything it has access to, but also synthesizing what's found and coming back with an up-to-date response. There it is. A clear timeline, a nice summary, and notice even in this first message here, Chip flags a potential issue the team should be aware of. Because we're in a group space, everyone can follow along, anyone can jump in at any time. As you see, someone just did, asking Chip to help create a doc to help address the issue.
And this summer, you can have an in-depth conversation with Gemini.
So I think, by the way, the funny meme is that someone just clipped it, like Google just saying, in this summer or coming soon, and there's like nothing happening yet. And it's just them saying that things are going to happen in the future, which I thought was...
I did see a summarized one of just the word AI. Just
AI.
Yeah. If anyone thought anything was going to get presented at this I.O. that wasn't AI, okay, I have a closing question for you.
Yes, go for it.
What do you think is behind the naming of these AIs? So there's always why is it 4 Omni and not 5? And why is it Gemini 1.5 and 1.5 Pro, not like Gemini 2? And why is it Claude 3, Haiku, Opus, blah, blah, blah? What's with the versions and subversioning? We're definitely entering this new world of versioning that's just very different from versioning in any other products and product categories that we've seen before. What do you think is driving that?
I have one hypothesis, which is just around the competitiveness around things. So it's like, if they release GPT-5 and say, yeah, this is GPT-5, and then Google releases a 1.4 that is much better or like equal to 5, then it just looks bad from an optics perspective. So by not committing to the next level up and just sort of saying it's an incremental improvement on a current one, you can look better compared to other ones if they release an incremental improvement, like as in the next version, but you're only doing a little bit and you're somehow just beating them. It just looks better. So 4.0, because they're not even saying it's like a new thing. It's just it's an implementation of 4, but it's actually performing a lot better than 4 Turbo across the board, and is smashing 1.5 out of the water, even though Google's meant to have a 0.5 increment on top of their version, right? So I think it's like a branding thing. That's my guess. What do you think?
I like to think that with at least some of them, certainly it feels this case with Anthropic and OpenAI, that is something about the underlying architecture, right? When there's a more fundamental architectural change, you bump the major version. And when it's just fine tuning or producing new applications or adding multimodality or features to an existing type of architecture, then you bump the minor version. And then Google, as is always, is just all over the fucking place. I don't know if you saw the memes when they first came out with it. It was a classic Google situation where they had Gemini, Gemini Pro Business, Gemini Startup, version 1, 1.5, 1.5 Lite. You're just what is going on? So for them, I think, I don't know, whatever their product managers are doing. But I would like to think it's like that, but I can see it changing, the use of Turbo as well as 0.5 as well as O now certainly feels like we're getting, and I think I tend to agree with you. It's about how much hype do you want this model to have, and weirdly enough, you're trying to actually have more, it's under promise, over deliver, which creates this idea that when 5 eventually comes out, it's going to be epic because like if the jump from 4 to 4.0 was this, then the jump to 4 to 5 must be like, 10x that, right?
Must be hard too, because I think a lot of people like have such high expectations for 5. Like they're like 5 is going to be AGI, and like there's all these rumors happening. And so like if I'm Sam Altman thinking about like I'm sitting with my CMO, I'm like, all right, what's the game plan? Like if we launch this as 5, but everyone's expectations are up here, and we're like, this is still sick, but for some reason everyone's expectations are too high, so let's just not call it 5. Let's call it 4.0 instead.
Yeah, that's a really good point as well.